for some hair. I didn't have pure black, so I had to cut out the strands I needed after brushing. And it was a lot of brushing, believe me. It's not the best material. But once I was done, you glue the strands. You could use a bag or any kind of, plastic. I just had this on hand from, the wig. And once done and it's dried, I use Mod Podge. You get these little wefts. Now the design I had was all black, but since there was some white, I'm going to give her a white bang. Let me get all of these cut up and ready, and we'll start attaching. I'm going to do my best to record this, and we are doing the Pumpkin Witch doll, which will be about the same as I did the other one, except for the Star Witch, I kept her original hair. So, let's get started. I'm going to be using a hot glue. And if I can just get it to please stay, I'm going to take the first weft, if I'm even saying that right, and glue it like this. So. Now it is hot, so, careful. Ow. Ow. But it dries pretty fast, so you have to work fast. Already getting her some hair. Now I'm going to keep doing this all the way around the base. So, let me get I'm going to go ahead and add a little bit more up here first. And there's my neighbor. Very hot. But you can withstand it. Now, it's not going to stay this long. It probably would look good, but that's not the design I have in mind. Anyway, let's keep going. I'm not really sure if you can see this well. I'm using my phone since that's the only camera I have. I will mention that this is not the best quality hair, but you work with what you have, or in my case, what you get for Halloween. Ow, that's hot. Ow! Now I'm going to keep doing this all the way around, and I'll show you what that looks like in a minute. And there we go. It's all the way filled around. She looks kind of weird, but I think the white little bit looks nice so far. So I'm going to fill it up and I'll show you what that looks like in a moment. And there we go. The hair is all on there. Now all she needs to do is have a good trim, a style, and she's good to go. I'll show you what that looks like once I'm done. And there we go. Her hair is all styled. It wasn't the original plan, but I like it. I think it suits her. And there we are. Here are the two witch sisters, all complete. I did not do shoes because they're a little too small for me. But there we go. I don't have a name for them. I don't know if I should name them or not. But I think they turned out really well. We have the sisters. Their hats. And their brooms. Next, it's time to move on to the next project. Hey there, my name's Orphan, and welcome to my very first doll customizing video. For today, I'm going to be making witch sisters. And with it, I bought a pattern on Etsy from Delightful. The Steampunk Lolita, which I will be altering for as I need. Now, I've already gotten ahead of myself for this, so I'm going to show what I did and what I still need to do. So for the Pumpkin Witch, I will be using this why am I saying P? Orange polka dot fabric. Using the patterns, I altered it to make it more dress-like. So as you can see, it's more like a dress here. And when you're done with those, where'd they go? They come out like this. These have already been washed to get rid of the ink, and I used fray trick so that way, you know, it doesn't fray on me. But what I still need to do is make the, what do you call it, like shoulder straps? I don't know, they're not going to be attached. You know, just make it look dressy. So just as a real quick, I don't know why I did right there. Should be enough. I see it's just a little rectangle. There they are. I'm going to cut that out and make two. Well, I got the pieces all cut out. I made them a little bit bigger than I drew. I'm going to wash them to get rid of the ink. Then I'm going to fray check it. That way it doesn't, you know, fray. But while that's going to be drying, we're going to work on the dress. With it, we're going to sew down the sides on both, and I'll be back. Now that that's all done, you can see I'm going to be cutting down the breast area to tighten that fit, and along the top and bottom I'm going to be adding this black lace. So let's see what that looks like. This is how the dress looks so far. Next, we're going to put a little bit of glue around this seam to flatten it, and around this seam to flatten that as well. We're almost done with the dress. It's all glued down. Next step is the petticoat, which I'm going to measure out a length of tulle, and we'll take it from there. It is a bit hard to see with it being black on black. You can see a little better. I have my length of tulle. I'm going to take some thread, catch it at the end, and then gather it through, and I'll show you what that looks like. Show you what I'm doing. I'm just gathering it a bit with the needle. And pull it through. And with that, we have the whole line done. We're just going to pull at the end some tighten it a bit. Taking the dress, we're gonna go about right here or so. Let's see. We only need to gather it enough that it goes around. And that should be about it. I'm gonna attach it. As you see, you work with what you've got. I'm using a water bottle to hold the part where I put the glue. So I'll just work a little bit at a time. And there we go. Got a little bit of glue, but it's going to be for the under. It's supposed to give it volume. So the next step, we're going to sew up about midway about here. Sew up the edges so that they won't fray, and then add a clasp. And with that, we are nearly done with our dresses. Well, more precise, 2 dresses. With the clasp, I will take some paint to try to cover that up. But for the moment, this is the Pumpkin Witch dress. And here is the Star Witch dress. Same thing with the clasp and the petticoat, which is kind of hard to see. Sorry about my video. But I did not add the trim. I did not think this dress needed it. But the dress part itself for both are done, doing the same methods. What we need now for the Pumpkin Witch are the detached sleeves. Same for the Star Witch, except hers is going to be slightly different. What we're going to do for the Pumpkin Witch, taking our rectangle piece, we're going to do, what you call it? I don't remember exactly. You know, just go through. Yeah, try and make sure it's as even as possible. Of course, for me, I have no coordination with my hands. And I think it's called a loop stitch. I don't know. Just bring it all the way through. Like that. Through the opening, I'm going to take a piece of elastic, the thin, like rope type, feed it through, and then pull in here, pull it tight. With it, you're going to see on here, let me put her arm out. Sorry about my hands and the way the camera angle is. I use my phone to record everything. Make sure the thread's out the way. Tie it on tight. Just, you know, a simple tie like you're doing your shoes, except instead of the bow, it's, you know, tying it again. Cutting off the excess, not too close, because it can come undone if you're not careful, and then you'll need some to pull. Oh, did I just undo it? I just undid it, didn't I? I did. Anyway, you'll get the gist of it. Tie it tight, and then you're going to sew around it. And when you do, you have a detached sleeve. The pumpkin dress is basically done. It's detached. I think it gives it a nice little look. Now for the Star Witch, we are going to be doing a different type of detached sleeve. I'm going to be doing a bell-shaped sleeve. So, same fabric. I'm going to take this lilac, and I know it's bigger, but it's just easier this way. What I'm going to do is, on the right good side, we're going to flip it over and attach. In doing so, it will look like this. Now to get it to lay flat, we're going to iron it and go from there. And like before, we're going to stick the elastic through, tie it onto the doll, and then sew it on up. And once that's done, you have a bell sleeve. I think it's pretty cute. Still posable. And with that, we're nearly done. All I need to do now is get some lilac lace, make a little piece, attach it, and do the charms. And with that, we're done. I'm just waiting for the glue on that end to dry, and it's done. It's ready for me to attach a charm. Now, something I forgot I was going to do was not paint on here. There was a reason I didn't mind the coloration. It's because I'm going to be adding a corset. Doing so, I will be using this orange fabric, and part of the pattern that was from what I bought. And you will get these pieces. I'm going to cut them out, wash them, and put free check on them. These are cut out, washed, and has free check. We're going to sew the parts together, and then like before, we're going to iron it flat. And I'll come back when I'm done with that. Okay, I got a bit ahead of myself just because a lot was going on, but after it was ironed, I took some glue, laying it down, glued on these little silver jump rings, and then using some acrylic paint, I painted black on it. Now that it's all dry, I want to take an X-Acto knife in here, make small little holes, cut off some of this braiding cord in the color of black, which I have here, and I'm going to lace it, and I'll show you that in a minute. And with that, we're done. And before I forget, this is the glue I used. So let me put it all together and I'll show you the complete dress. And there we go. I'll trim up the bow part later, but that's the corset part. And the dress, well, I put the detached sleeves elsewhere, but the dress is done. Time for the next spot. Next step, I'll be taking some tulle or tulle, wrapping it around the leg to make fishnet stockings. So I'll make a second one, and then I'm also going to be making it for the hand, wrapping it from the wrist to the elbow for both. I had to move to a different area, but as you can see, they're about even. One's a little shorter, but it's as good as it's going to get. Now for the arm. That, it's on her hand. Now I did glue this on so it's a permanent fix, but I really think it's cute. It'll match the leggings. Now that the accessories are done to a point, it's time to work on the hat. So I sketched out a rough pattern using the head when I placed here, drew it around. As you can see, I messed up the center. It's fine. And then I made a rough shape of what I've wanted. Doing the same, I cut out 4 different colors and cut out the center. These have already been washed and free checked. Doing the same with the center, I kind of just, like worked with it. I finally found my pattern. I'm going to drew out, going to cut it out, wash, and free check. And then it's time to attach. And to do that, let me open my container. And of course, it all spills everywhere. I have 4 pieces. It will be black with the orange polka dot, and then galaxy with the lilac. And for the top, the polka dot and the galaxy. And I'll show you what that looks like when it's done. Quick little thing. Try and get as close as I can. I used a very thin paintbrush, well, the thinnest I have. As you see, I used some pink paint, even though I wish I had purple, but I did not have that. And black paint to paint the fingernails. And I used the toolie, as I said before, wrapped it around, and it is glued on, like mesh gloves. But that's that part. You see, it's all sewn on the outer, and when we flip it over, it has a nice clean edge, and I did iron it. Now I'm going to, after I do these, attach, probably with thread. I'm still trying to debate on thread or glue, but around, and we'll be almost done with the hat. As you can see, I decided to sew it on, but it's a nice, cute little hat. The next thing I did was I made 2 strands of black and of lilac, and attaching it around with a little bit of glue. While that dries, I am in the process of making bows that I will attach. And I'll show you what that looks like when I'm done. And there you have it. With some makeshift bows, it's practically done. Just need to add the charm at the top, and then it is complete. Now to move on to shoes. Next thing I'm going to work on is the broom. I don't have a lot of brown, and for the pumpkin witch I wanted to do a more natural like broom, so I'm going to mix it with white, and a lot of white, but at different intervals, to make 3 different shades of brown. Then once I have the 3 shades I need, I'm going to make it about here on her, from foot to here, about the length that I need, give or take. And then I'll show you next what's up. Scratch that, I really did not have enough clay, so I added some black and more white. I know they're different lengths, but next thing I'm going to do is braid it, basically. No, well, not braid, but twist them together. And I'll show you what that looks like. And there we go, it's all twisted. So, take my trusty knife. I'm going to cut it about right there. It doesn't have to be perfect. Yeah, it's not perfect, but I mean, it doesn't have to be. I'm going to round this up a little bit, make it more round at the top, and add some extra features, and I'll show you what that looks like. See? I have a bit of a wand. For the Star Witch, I made one using purple, pink, and blue. Currently, I am making other parts for it. This one's basically done. I have a few parts already made. That's going to be for the end. But this one being that I want it to be wood-based, I'm going to be making some vines and leaves that I'm going to put over it. Also, here ended up being a bit weak. So I need to give it some strength. But I'll show you what that looks like when I'm done. Brooms are nearly done. For the Star Witch, I used blue, pink, and purple clay. And using 3 rings, I painted them gold just for a simple look. I still have to make the end part, but on here I used brown. You can't really see the details because of the dark color and how crappy my phone camera is, but the vines I added on, I painted a bronze. For the end parts, I did black, center bronze, and black. And I've already attached the end part, and I'll show you how I did that for the Star Witch. But this brim is nearly complete. I still have to make the charms that I attached here, and then the brim will be complete. But other than that, I think it turned out pretty well. It's a little bent, but I mean, not bad for my first try. This one came out a little bit smoother, or even, but hey, first time for everything, right? Show how I did the brown. I'm going to use this multicolored that I have, if I can find the end. Taking the end, I'm going to wrap it around something I have. This is my old planner. And I'm just going to, wrap it around a couple times. And once I'm done with how much I like, I am going to go ahead and snip off the end. Then with it, it's this in. I'm going to take it and boom. Now I have all my little pieces, which you don't want to stain. And I know it looks like a lot, but most of this is going to come off in this fluff that I'll show you. But the next step is I do it in 3s. And this is 100% acrylic. I'm going to take it, just let's say these 3. You're going to tie it like in a knot. But where my finger is, you can use whatever you want, but I'll be using this dowel rod that I have for other projects. Tie it on and go from there. And I'll show you what that looks like when I'm done. Here we go. I know it looks like a lot, but most of this is going to come off in the fluff that it makes. With it, usually most people use a metal brush, but I have a regular just plastic one, which I forgot to get the brown stuff out, which I'll do in a minute. But with it, I'm just going to brush it and just keep doing it until it's all unraveled. And I'll show you what that looks like once I'm done too. Done brushing, which I have to say is, a good workout. My arms are killing me. This is what it'll look like, all nice and fluffy. This is what I got from it. A lot of fluff. This is technically unusable for, my project, but I can use it as stuffing when I make plushies. Anyway, the next step is taking a flat iron. You can use a regular iron, but I got this cheap one that I bought online. We are going to iron it to make it smoother and a little bit shiny. Brush it one more time, and then we're going to cut it off. Once it's cut off, I'll show you what that looks like and what the next step is. But I gotta take a moment because my arms are just, they're worn out. Because it takes quite a while to, brush it all out. Especially, to get this much. You can see real fast, it's a lot more shiny and, durable. And I think it looks really pretty, but, that's just me. Now it's time to cut them, and I'll show you what to do next. I just wanted to show you what it looks like after it's flat ironed and then brushed out one more time. There is a major difference between how unruly it was and fluffy. Step is to make wefts. You take the cut off parts and basically just glue it down where it's thin enough, yet, you know, it's not too thick or thin, if that makes sense. But yeah, I'm just gonna, so you can see, glue them all down on some plastic wrap because I don't have a freezer bag that's big enough. And once it's dry, I'll show you then. Pulled off the plastic, I trimmed off the extra glue, and I made into widths. I just have to cut it, you know, to how long I need it. And there you go. That's how you make the hair parts. As you can see, once it's twirled up using some glue and in the hole, it's all done. I think the colors came out really nice for the broom. I still do need to make the small little accessories that go on here, but other than that, that's about it. Now to move on to the next thing. Finally, time for all the accessories. I got this pack of eye pins and I forgot what they're called, but it's also the flat ones. Taking one of the eye pins and pliers, needle nose if you can, smallest I have. With this, I made an extra loop at the end, so it's double looped. Doing so, I cut it in half, and then on the one end, I bent it. This is so when it goes in the stuff I'm going to use, it can't just slide out. I've had that happen in the past, and then I had to super glue it, which I'm not really, let's just say super glue's hard, at least for me. So this will keep it in the material so it doesn't just slip right out. This one, however, if I can pick it up, I'm not going to bend the loops because this is going to be for the hair accessory. I'm just going to cut it in half and leave it straight. Because then I'm going to stick it in the doll head and it can be removable, but you know, you don't have to really worry about those. Anyway, let's move on to the material. Well, you know, for the charms. A little stalker. Hey, Dean. Anyway, to work on the charms, I'm going to use this 2-part epoxy clay. They do have different types, but this is the one I was gifted for Christmas, and you have to wear gloves, or at least that's what it says, and from the smell of it, yeah, you want to wear gloves. I have some just non-latex gloves. I have reused them, so it says disposable, but I mean, this is my second time using it. You take equal parts of A and B and mix it together until you get this. Now, I shouldn't have done that, but just to show it's one big blob. Now on, not that one. I gotta put that on here. Here are what it says. Come on. Focus. This is why working with a phone is hard. Okay, you can kind of see it. So basically, I'm going to give it about 10-15 minutes or so. I really don't like waiting. But I can use it, you know, up to like good 2 hours. Then after I make it, I have to let it set minimum 24 hours to cure. But enough about that. I'm going to show you what they look like when I start working on them. For now, I just got to let this sit. And it does smell. But the smell does eventually ease up over time. Here are all the charms. I know they're a little weird and wonky, but I mean, for my second time trying with this stuff, I mean, it's not that bad. Next step, it's time to paint. Charms. All not colored and whatnot. All I have to do now is give it a good seal or a good layer of MSC, which is Mr. Super Clear, and they are ready to be attached to where they need to go. Let's see how those items look with the charms. Some of the charms on the brooms, and now the brooms are completely complete. Just use, I forgot what they're called again. But the little rings, attached them on, and I used a little bit of super glue, and boom. They can move around now. But yet they're still in place, see? I know the stars are bigger, but it's hard to make the little ends compared to a pumpkin, which is just, you know, a little ball. let's move on to the next accessories. Sorry, I got a little baby blocking my light, but you can see the pumpkin, the little bottle, potion bottle, and a book, and the same on here. With this huge star, I didn't know it was going to turn out that big. But still, here are the hats with all the charms. I have the one that's on the dress right here, with my little stand-in again. Here's one of the other charms. There's also this hair charm I did. It's a bit bulky, but I mean, for my first try. There's a little pumpkin one.
I can't forget the day we met. Your eyes so blue, me piercing through. I can't forget the day we met. Your smile so bright, it made me swoon. Our love is like a summer's day, hot and endless in a magic way. Whenever I see you, all I can think is my summer love. We're waiting for you, my love. My summer love, been waiting for you, my love. I can't forget the day we met. You looked so fly in your red Corvette. Your hair, your look, your everything. When I see it all, I knew that you were mine. I'm in love with your hair, your lips, your silhouette in the moonlight shine. With my love, you won't ever be alone, my summer.
I'd like to give a special shout out to God of Gun Iron on Patreon. Thank you so much for supporting me.